Most people think playing paddle is just turning up and playing a match, but in reality it's completely different. In this video we're going to break down what it takes to be a professional paddle player. The costs, the training, the competing and everything in between. I discovered paddle when I was 14 years old. I was extremely lucky that a club opened up 2 minutes away from my house, and that's how I got addicted. I first played with one of my close friends and then fell in love with it from there. Played pretty much every day since, and now it's 8 years on, and this is how far we've come. So I didn't really take paddle seriously until kind of a couple to 3 years in, due to seeing it more as a hobby. And because it was a hobby, I think that actually helped me take the pressure off of getting better. I was more focused on having fun with my mates and enjoying the paddle. As I got to around 18, I kind of realized that there is a potential to make this a job if I get better, and I can become a coach, potentially work as a manager in a paddle club and go from there. So it was just kind of improving my level to try and become a better coach, or to be able to market myself in a better way. And then that included to going to Spain. I was very fortunate, my parents helped me out to be able to go to Spain. So I went for a few months here and there, and that's when I realized that there's a potential job not to become a coach, but to actually take it seriously and become a professional player. And then I started getting my ranking up in the UK from there, got recognized from the GB setup, and then I've been growing my level ever since. And now 22, competing with the GB players, representing my country at the Four Nations, and now full-time professional paddle player, so it's come a long way. Going into competing is really difficult. It's such a mental battle with yourself. You have to stay motivated and stay disciplined the whole time.
Jake, why didn't you go for the return off your smash?
I was annoyed at myself and I was annoyed at the ball.
Why were you annoyed at yourself?
It wasn't a good smash.
Right. So you think in a game you're not going to have a shot that isn't good?
It was mainly the ball. The ball didn't go fucking anywhere.
Yeah. So you think that's not going to happen in a game?
True, sorry.
Come on.
I mean, a day for me normally looks like waking up pretty early, training in the morning, then we'll be probably going to do strength and conditioning in the gym, going back to the training courts, and then resting in the evening, maybe going to the spa and getting in a sauna or whatever it is. But yeah, competing is brutal as well. You're not really getting the luxury of other sports where they would compete with their team, so they would travel with their team, stay with their team. So it's kind of you're on your own or with a partner. So the difference of that is you might have to stay in airports or travel from country to country. I mean, I haven't been home to see my parents in months. So yeah, it's not as glamorous as it seems. Obviously it's a great life to live and I'm super grateful for it, but there is kind of positives and negatives to it.
Had you made your mind up coming in on that one before, after or during? Before. So you didn't feel the shot and knew it was wrong? Yeah, can't do that. Not against your level. Okay, you're opening the court way too much. If that shot isn't here, you've got to feel it, you've got to know it. Okay, yes, you can do it before, but if it's wrong, you've got to stay back.
So the training at the moment is very based on being intense. Going back to kind of talking about where I started more enjoying the sport and having fun, I wasn't that intense. I haven't come from a professional sport background. That was building my paddle level up, but in a fun way. So I never really did anything intense. I was quite lazy, and I'm sure most of my coaches will probably say that as well, annoyingly. But yeah, so now it's kind of just being more intense, getting the right mindset and being mentally there and competitive. So the session I've done today with Dan Troy, one of the best coaches in the UK, was building that anticipation, getting ready, getting my legs low. Because I've got decent hand skills, it's kind of working on now the body, getting physically stronger, getting physically quicker and stuff like that. So you'll see some of the videos of some of the clips of me wearing a weight vest, stuff like that. Really helps. Getting in the gym as well to try and get a bit bigger, because that's also something new to me. So the mental side is an interesting one for me. I'll happily admit that I'm not the mentally strongest person probably on the court at all times, but I try and stay really positive. As long as I'm enjoying paddle, for me that's all that really I want to get out of it. I don't want to be hating paddle. I don't want to be not enjoying it, because that's ultimately not why I started or why I pursued this career. So I want to enjoy my paddle. So that's the first thing I always think about. As long as I'm having fun, like, that's the main thing. The second thing is making sure that I don't have too much fun and start relaxing. It's like staying mentally focused and being present at all times and not losing that focus that happens so often in matches. So I try and switch on a bit of an ego when I go on court. It's like, I have to admit that I don't want to have that ego off court, but when I'm on court, I want to think that I'm there to win. I know I can win, and it's almost like waking up and changing that switch, and you kind of act a bit different, but you've got to do it when you're court. You've got to be an animal. So you want to win, you want to set a tone on the match, be present and intimidate your opponents.
You've got to put points in. It's the only way I get fucking up.
Isn't that a problem?
Massive.
Why not do it all the time? Then your brain is just being strong all the time. The brain's a muscle, yeah? Stupid. What was that exercise we did? Not exercise, that game I did, and I just said put a pound on it or whatever it was. And then you started to try harder. Why does it need 1 pound for you fuckers to try harder?
So the thing now that everyone finds interesting, the cost of competing in paddle. It's an insane amount of money when you think about it. I'm very fortunate to have great sponsors that back me, and I'm super grateful for those. But obviously everything comes with a price. So we're gonna break down a FIP in Europe and then maybe a FIP outside of Europe. It's a bit of an interesting one. The FIPs in Europe, obviously a lot of the European players are a higher level than outside of Europe, so it's really difficult to get points when you compete abroad in Europe. So potentially you might go outside of Europe to get those points, because ultimately that's what you're trying to get, is that higher ranking to compete against those better players. So I've got the FIP that I competed recently with my partner Theo. It was in Houten in the Netherlands, right next to Amsterdam. So like I was saying earlier, I actually came back from America. I then got to the airport and went straight to the Netherlands. So I didn't go home, I didn't travel to the airport, so that cut some costs down as well. The flights, because I had checked luggage, were a bit more expensive, so obviously it will change. Also the airline will differ, but we'll judge it on a kind of rough basis. Also the difficult problem is you don't know when you're going to return home. So you can't book a return flight until you know the result, what's happened, because you could go further in the tournament, you could obviously end short, who knows. So that's also another thing, flights get more expensive the later you book it. It ends up costing around 150 there and 150 back to, I ended up going to Spain after the FIP to train. So that was about 300 on flights, which is obviously an expensive trip when you're only inside Europe. But we unfortunately, or fortunately, the way you're looking at it, we got knocked out in the first round of qualifying. So we ended up only spending one night in a hotel, which cost £65 with breakfast. Ubers to the club was around £50, getting from the hotel to the airport to the train station to the club. It all adds up, and obviously that would be me and Theo splitting it. So he probably would have spent around roughly the same thing. The entry fee for the tournament was £30. So not too bad, considering in the UK that entry fee can come to around £40. In America, it can be up to $80. So trains cost £25 getting from Amsterdam airport to Utrecht to then Houten, and then dinner £20. Roughly, I totaled that together of coming around just over £500. And that is kind of the rough idea, that you kind of go into a FIP expecting to spend around £500. Now, if you go outside of Europe, that can cost anywhere, depending on where you go, obviously to Asia or to America or Africa, the flights can change. You're spending on a rough estimate around over just £1,000, but mainly it is that flight that makes a big difference. Yeah, but also, like, everyone's got their own setup in the professional paddle world. Some players are based in Spain, some players are based in England or in their own country. Right now, I'm based in England and Spain. I'm full-time now and I'm competing mainly FIPs. And again, prices will vary, obviously, depending on where you stay, how long you go for, but yeah. You'll be thinking, what do I get out of return in this of prize money-wise? And unfortunately, it's not much. It's probably even nothing. I mean, unless you're winning these tournaments at FIP level, you might get a few €100s or pounds, depending on where the tournament is, but if you're kind of competing at the lower end of these international tournaments like I am, you're kind of seeing a 50 to 100 return in prize money. So you're maybe making a little bit of your hotel back, or just your entry fee comes back, which is nice. But obviously it's not like tennis, where if you're competing in your first round of these big tournaments, you're getting thousands. There are smaller tournaments in the UK that do offer bigger prize money, but the only problem is that it's not the highest levels. You can earn the money, but you aren't getting ultimately the best level out of it. So right now, and that's all I care about, is trying to improve my level rather than thinking about the money. I just want to be able to compete at a good level. So the prize money for me isn't really an interest. I'm more thinking about, can I play at a higher level? But the prize money for obviously the best players in the world, like the Premier Padel, is a lot higher, and that is the ultimate goal, to get to that Premier Padel level. But it's obviously a big difference to the prize money at FIP level. What do you want? We're just talking about prices, and it's very interesting to add it up all together, isn't it? It's not cheap.
Not at the moment, it's not cheap. It's difficult until the amount of courts and it's saturated. Prices will come down once it's saturated.
True. That is why in Spain it's so much cheaper, because they have got courts on every...
Thousands of courts. So,
and also their weather. I mean, we can't do outside courts in England, unfortunately. You're probably thinking by now, how do I afford this all? And like I said earlier, the sponsors cover a majority of that. I have been coaching for a while. I do coach at a couple clubs, and I'm very fortunate that I can charge a bit of a premium due to the lack of coaching in England. Not many coaches have been to Spain, so you can charge that little bit extra because of that knowledge you're bringing back from Spain and giving out to the players in England. So I do a bit of coaching, and that obviously covers a bit of the cost, but mainly the sponsors that I'm so grateful for cover that all. How to get sponsors, that's obviously a big thing for players that want to try and compete professionally. A lot of it is not what you know, it's more who you know. I've got a couple of my sponsors from people I've coached, or potentially friend of a friend that have kind of mentioned me to their company and want to help out young players in the paddle scene that are kind of wanting to grow. So that is one of my sponsors that have kind of helped me out there. Because ultimately all sponsors care about is, how many players are you going to reach out in social media, or potentially seeing you day to day in a club. You can start from basically getting a discount with brands on rackets or clothing, whatever it is, and then you can kind of build into potentially getting free equipment, or limited equipment, or unlimited equipment, and then potentially going to brands sponsoring you by covering tournament costs or accommodation costs, whatever it is, travel. They can help you out depending on how generous or how much reach you bring back to them. So that is one of the reasons that I was wanting to build my Jake Bewley brand, if I can say, with the YouTube and stuff, because then it gets me more reach for the sponsors to then be interested in helping me out on my journey. I mean, I think roughly, like, to be able to compete full time, you'll need to be earning around the ballpark of 20 to 40,000 pounds, which is an insane amount of money a year, but that will cover you for training, travel, accommodation, tournaments, entry fees, whatever it is. And I don't even want to get onto food and drink. The amount of food I have to consume now to try and get a lanky man to get some muscle on him is insane. The most enjoyable part of this pro paddle journey is the fact that I'm doing a job that I enjoy. I've been told for the longest time I should do something you love, and I think it's spot on. I think the little things I enjoy is the little wins, like playing a good match one day. I enjoy playing well. I enjoy having fun, like trying to take little wins rather than looking at a bigger picture. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting. I definitely found it interesting looking at the stats and explaining to you guys what kind of goes into being a professional paddle player. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It helps me out massively and you don't understand. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.